It's Taco Tuesday. Let's go. Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you came back to my kitchen to join me for yet another video. So, what are we doing today? We're making birria tacos. So, if you haven't heard, this recipe has been all over the freaking place. All over the internet. There are so many versions of it. And when I say internet, I mean social media for all you youngins out there. Yeah. But anyways, it's been everywhere. And I've made this a few times, but I had to perfect it. So, what is birria tacos? Well, it's like this Mexican beef stew. It's slow cooked, but I'm cooking mine in my Instant Pot today. It just saves a lot of time. But it's this flavorful, savory, sweet, sour stewed beef, right? And for some reason, somebody came up with the bright idea to stew that beef, shred it up, take a tortilla, dip it in the juice, throw that meat in there with some cheese, fry it up, and call it a birria taco. Whoever created that is genius, because it's good. So, we're gonna make that today. So let's get cooking. All right, y'all. So, what goes into these tacos? It's actually very simple. It is simple. It's pretty simple. Anybody can do it. Now, I always say that, but trust me, if you follow what I'm doing, you can do this too. I used my Instant Pot, which is right here. And if you want directions on how to cook it, stovetop or, slow cook it, I'll have those instructions down below. But for me, I'm using my Instant Pot because it's only going to take 30 minutes for that meat that I'm using to tenderize. Yes, 30 minutes. So if you have an Instant Pot, go ahead and whip that out. Pressure cooker, whatever. Whip that out. We're going to use that crock pot. That works good too. You could start it before you go to work. Boom, it's done when you get home. Trust. So, Instant Pot, what we need. The beef that I used, it was a chuck roast. You can use any type of beef, not ground beef, but like any shreddable beef. Like if you want to use sirloin, and if you really want to spend some money, go ahead and use those short ribs, girl. But anyways, I used a chuck roast, and I've used it before, and it turned out good. So if you want to use that, it's affordable, and it tastes just as good. I used that. I cubed the beef up into about, I'd say, 1.5 inch cubes. 1.5 by 1.5 inch cubes. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I cubed it up like so. I have about here, this is about 2 pounds of beef, I would say. If I'm guessing, I guess. But you're going to season this with some salt and pepper. You don't need a whole bunch of seasoning on this right now because for the most part it's going to wash up anyway. But some salt and pepper would do just fine just to get it going. So I seasoned with some salt, a little bit of pepper, flipped them over, did them on each side as best I could anyway. Set that to the side. We'll come back to that later. So now, Guajillo Chilies. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Guajillo Chilies, that's these right here. Guajillo Chilies is prominent in a lot of Mexican dishes, and you can find them in like the international aisle in the grocery store, you know what I mean? And what I did was I got myself a pot, I boiled some water, and I just dipped about 5 to 6 Guajillo Chilies, took off the stem, and poured out a little bit of seeds. Don't worry, these are not spicy, so it's not going to burn you up or anything like that. But put those into a pot of boiling water and let them cook kind of like tea, if you will. But I left those cook up so they'll soften a little bit because we're going to blend those up later. So let those cook and soften up, and then we'll come back to that. All right, so next I have a red onion. I have half of a red onion left over from another recipe. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that instead. You can use a yellow onion if you want, but red will do just fine. And I'm only using half of a red onion. I'm going to slice that up into thin slices. Slice that up into thin slices. Set that aside. You're going to get 3 garlic cloves. If you like garlic, go ahead and add some more. If you want to mince these up, go ahead. If you want to grate them, go ahead. But I'm just going to smash them and throw them right into the pot because there's no need to grate it. It's going to cook. It's going to do its job even if you just smash it. And you'll see it. You're not going to eat a whole piece of garlic clove unless you want to. So we're going to go ahead, take these onions, our 3 garlic cloves, we're gonna add this to our pot. So what I did was I turned on the saute function of my Instant Pot. If you don't have an Instant Pot, you can definitely saute these stovetop. But I have a saute function on my Instant Pot. Press that, put in a little bit of canola oil, and I sauteed those until the room was fragrant and smelled oh so good. You know the smell when you first start cooking, like with some onions and some garlic or whatever. It smells like, ooh, that smells good. What you cooking? That smell. So we're gonna go ahead, let those onions sweat out, let your room get fragrant, and then we're gonna come back to that. So go ahead and grab your beef. We're gonna go ahead and add that to the Instant Pot as well, even while it's still sauteing, and that starts to brown up a bit. While that's browning, we're gonna come back to our Guajillo Chilies. Get yourself a blender. I have like a little small, like magic bullet type of blender. Whatever blender you have, just go ahead and grab that, right? Get that. We're gonna add in our Guajillo Chilies to that blender. We're gonna add the Guajillo Chilies, and then we're gonna put in about a 1/4 cup of that liquid that it was boiling in, okay? Next up, we have Rotel Tomatoes, which is this right here. It's the hot brand of the Rotel Tomatoes. They have original, they have mild, which isn't that spicy, and then they have like a Mexican chili lime one that I'm not using today. But if you want to use it, go ahead and give it a try. So we're going to crack that open, and we're going to go ahead and pour that into our blender along with our Guajillo Chilies, along with the liquid as well. That's just fine. And we're going to blend that up until it's nice and smooth. Once that's nice and blended up, we're going to go ahead and add that to our pot. Next up, we have chipotle chilies and adobo sauce. This can be found in your international section as well, and it's found in a lot of Mexican dishes as well, mainly stews. So it's really good, has a little kick to it, but it shouldn't be too spicy that you can't eat it. We're gonna go ahead, pop that open, and add that into our blender as well. We're gonna blend that up until it's nice and smooth. Once that's nice and smooth, we're gonna add that to our pot. You're gonna also add in some beef stock. Now some people, they will use chicken stock, which is just fine, but I want to bring out that beefy flavor in what I'm cooking. So I'm using beef stock, and this is what I used before, and I'm using 1 can, which is about 1.5 cups of beef stock. So go ahead, add that to your pot. Now it's time to add in our dry seasoning. So I added in about 1 tablespoon of salt, 1/2 tablespoon of ground black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. A little bit goes a long way, trust me. 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, and 1.5 tablespoon of oregano, and 2 bay leaves. We're gonna go ahead and throw that top onto our pressure cooker, and we're gonna set it for pressure cook. We're gonna set the time for 30 minutes, and then hit start, and then we'll come right back to it. So after dicing my cilantro and onions, I went on ahead and shredded some pepper jack cheese. You don't necessarily have to use pepper jack cheese. It's my favorite. You can use any type of cheese you like, but I think pepper jack cheese went very well with it. Tortillas. So I used flour tortillas. You can use corn tortillas if you prefer those. I'm not sure how those will work out, only because my favorite type of tortilla are flour. The brand of tortillas that I use, this is the brand of tortilla that I use. Thin, but it gets really crispy when you fry it in the pan. So that's what I use if you just needed a recommendation, I guess. Okay, so now that the meat has cooked for 30 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and release the steam from the pressure cooker. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the meat into I'd say a baking pan or anything like that, along with a little bit of that juice. Save some of that juice for later, trust me. I'll let you know what we're gonna do with that. But for now, remove some of the meat with a little bit of the juice, and we're gonna go ahead and just shred that up so we can have that for later. Okay, so now it's time to start building our tacos. Grab your tortilla, just one. I have my cast iron skillet here, my favorite skillet in the whole entire world. You're gonna grab your tortilla. We're gonna dip that inside of the reserved juice left over from cooking the meat. Just a little dip. It doesn't have to be super saturated or anything like that, but just dip it in there, bring it out, let it drain a little bit. Bring it over to your skillet that's at a medium heat. Make sure it's medium and not too hot because it's gonna burn your tortillas. So have it set at a medium heat. You're gonna wire that into the pan. Immediately, you're gonna go ahead and add your cheese because we want that cheese to stick to the tortilla. Next, you're gonna grab your beef. Spread your beef out along the tortilla on top of the cheese. Put as much or as little as you want. I just added a few onions. If you don't like onions, you don't have to add that, but that's what I did. And then you're gonna gently grab one side of your tortilla and just lay it over in the form of a taco. It should have this nice, like reddish, golden type of color. That's when you know you did it right. So go ahead and remove that, place that on your plate. I made 2. Alright you guys, so there you have it, Birria tacos. I hope that I explained it well enough for you to understand how good these things are. But if you need a little bit more help, I have down in the description box some extra details about the seasonings I use, the sauces, all those things. And if you need extra instructions on crock pot or stovetop, I got you. So check that out in the description box down below. But once again, thank you so much for checking me out for this video today. I had a great time making it, and I really hope you give it a try. If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Vanity, and if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe if you want to. So until next time, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you later.